The Independent National Electoral Commission has finally broken its silence on the controversy trailing the status of the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly that crossed from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. Commission's chairman, Mahmoud Yakubu, who formally reacted to it in his remarks at the second quarterly consultative meeting with media organizations held in Abuja on Wednesday, said that the commission is waiting for the law courts to make pronouncements on their positions before taking any appropriate step. Yakubu further explained that there are 32 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly elected during the 2023 general election, emphasizing that the commission has no business with the resignation of the assembly members. Joining me on the show this morning is Emi Ferraha, a political analyst. Good morning, Mr. Emi, and welcome to Open Air.
Good morning, Choma, beautiful face, and good morning, Nigerians and all over the world, and also to the other guests. Morning to you.
All right. Now,
good morning.
What is your take on INEC's position on the status of the 27 defected lawmakers in Rivers State?
You see, I've always told people that we operate a constitutional democracy. Nigeria is a creation of law. Everything about Nigeria is about the law. The law says we shall have a country called the Federal Republic of Nigeria, right? And the law also stipulates the number of states and the number of local governments that are created in the state called Nigeria. So I wonder why sometimes we just sit back, we want to express our emotions, you know, judge situations, even organs of government by our emotions and our feelings. Sometimes we don't wonder, what are we doing? We want to throw the state into a state of anarchy, or we're actually trying to build a country that we can call our own. So for me, INEC is just doing the right thing, and they are, you know, established their position. And for me, that is also my position. You see, you can't sit somewhere and adjudicate as if you were the court and begin to nullify and begin to judge, and by yourself you are enthroning. That is not what the law says. The law says 3 arms of government: the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. So if there is any issue that has to do with the declaration of whatever matter, adjudication, the Constitution actually, you know, assign that responsibility to the courts to determine certain matters. And take note, it is not all matter that the court even have jurisdiction. Issue of election of a Speaker House of Assembly, election of a Speaker House of Reps, even the Senate President, the court has no jurisdiction. It is the responsibility of the House to so elect their leader as enshrined in the Constitution. I think in Section 90 and Section 92, you find all this there. And the same Section 92, if you read down, you see where a paragraph says the removal of the speaker shall be done by 2/3 majority of members of the House. In other words, if you are to change the speaker that you elected earlier, there are procedures. The procedure is that the members who will remove him must be 2/3 of all the members of the House. I have not seen anything like that. Suddenly they'll be, okay, wait, Section 109, oh, paragraph G became a popular song. I'm even waiting for some of these artists to make some song from that and make some comedy from it. Oh, automatic. Automatic, you've lost your seat. Automatic. I begin to wonder.
Yeah,
is automatic actually a new one?
I wanted to ask you that question. Is that section of the Constitution self-executing?
It's not self-executing. No provision of the Nigeria Constitution is self-executing. Okay. Everything ends in the court as the organ or arms of government that is so assigned that responsibility to interpret the law. Why do we catch somebody who we assume to be an armed robber, a thief, or somebody who collected something illegally, and we don't, you know, punish the person immediately? We still go to court with the person. We call the person a suspect until the court so determine that, yes, this was actually guilty, even we call the person right-handed. But in this case, in Rivers State, everybody will become automatic. You've lost. So what is the essence of the court if it's automatic? I remember after the March 18 governorship election here, some aggrieved candidates went to court, took Sinfubara victory to the court. Why is it that Sinfubara didn't step aside? Because the law is automatic and step aside so that Rivers State will have no governor at that time. But Sinfubara was still on the seat, signing document, signing money, ruling out the orders and the rest of it, and they were obeyed because the matter was in court, and anything in court does not vitiate the position of the person until the court so nullified. And in this case, the court have no jurisdiction to even declare a seat of an elected member a vacant outside the tribunal that is empowered to do so. The court has no power to do so. But some people are just saying, hey, you must do it. It is the speaker. Is amiably or has amiably declared his own seat vacant? The answer is no. So where is the vacancy coming from? So people say this is here, and I continue to correct them. This in the here has never been Speaker of Rivers State Assembly in the lifespan of Rivers State Assembly, maybe probably in future.
Was there no order recognizing Matt Edison here as
the court,
speaker?
if you read section 92 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, yes, the law made it very explicit that the members of the House shall elect a speaker from among themselves. In other words, the court has no room to participate in the election of a speaker, right? And I remember on the 30th of October 2023, when the House of Assembly, led by Honorable Martin Amaefule, sat around 7 a.m., the House, so by the House rule in Section 109 of the 1999 Constitution, as they are empowered, suspended 4 persons, which is Edisi here, one of them, Victor Okumbo and Representative Boni, and some other members. 4 of them were suspended, and by the House rule, it stands. That suspension was not lifted, has never been lifted. But later the day, we now heard that Edisi here and some of his colleagues who were also suspended sat, and he declared himself a speaker. You cannot declare yourself a speaker when the law is very explicit on how a speaker can emerge. So it was later on, he ran to the court for the court, to endorse his illegal speakership. And the court cannot do that. Whenever you give your order, you give your injunction, recognizing somebody as speaker, it's null and void because you have no jurisdiction to so do. Then later they say, oh, by the reason of the defection, he's not the speaker. I'm not asking. Does it mean that the self-acclaimed speakership of the Edisi here group in the first place were never, real? So until Honorable Martin Amaefule defected, that is when you became a speaker. So why will you continue to deceive yourself and start to deceive the people? I want to press this deception down the throat of Nigerians. And you are saying you are building a democratic society. The answer is no. You were never a speaker, because I've never read anywhere where they say, okay, that membership of the EDCA here and their group, they sat after the defection of Honorable Martin Amaefule and the other 26 members, they sat and elected EDCA as a speaker. That is to say, there was never a time EDCA was made a speaker. So how come a person who is never a speaker will now assume the role of a speaker and trying to declare a seat of a fellow elected member vacant, when the law is explicit and says that it is only the speaker that can declare the seat vacant? So where is the vacancy coming from? And this is where INEC is not telling you, by records and by the eyes and lens of the law, we have 32 seat assembly in Rivers State. And by this, we only have information about one that is no more. So the other seats are not vacant until the court says otherwise. That is to say, Honorable Martin Amaefule and others are still lawful members of Rivers State House of Assembly. So that I'm now wondering where some people are saying fashioner speaker, fashioner this. So there can be fashioner maybe in Rivers State Government House, but I don't think there is faction in Rivers State House of Assembly as it stands. So INEC is very right.
All right. Now, Mr. Ugochukwu, the INEC Commission said that they do not have any business with the resignation of the Rivers State Assembly members. Now, do not forget that Edison Ehe, as at the time he declared the seats of Martin Amaefule and the other 26 defectors vacant, he wrote to INEC, and so far INEC has not in any way withdrawn their certificates or even made any move to conduct elections. Now, in view of that, there are concerns in certain areas. Mr. Emi has spoken on the legality of the people. Now, let's come down to Okojombo, because Okojombo emerged as a speaker after Itinehe vacated. He resigned and vacated his seat. The argument in some quarters is this, that the quorum is according to the number of people recognized in the House. Now, there is also a constitutional provision that the least a state house can have is 24 seats, and the maximum is 40 seats. And in the case of 46, we have Kano State as an example of the state with the highest number of seats in the State House of Assembly. Now, recently, again, don't forget, the Okojombo faction of Rivers State House of Assembly also had their legislative function where they screened the Attorney General of the state. What do you have to say to all this? Do you see it legal? I mean, the Okojombo faction. And yesterday, there was a meeting at the national level where speakers had to... Okojombo was the person that went in place of Rivers State.
You know, once it is there is a political issue, and they say who plays the piper dictates the tune. It doesn't matter if Okojombo came as a representation to the on behalf of the Rivers State House of Assembly or not. You cannot place illegality on illegality. And he knows it. No, he can. There is no. You cannot play. This is not. You see, one thing about Nigeria. Most times I say that the Nigerianness in us is what makes us Nigerians. You know, whenever it is in the negative, people will say this is Nigeria. But we are here blessed by a constitution. According to what Amy have said, the constitution is explicit, and is the supreme norm, is the supreme document that is binding to even the president of the country. He cannot act outside the constitutional jurisdiction. So whether he has gone there to represent the River State or not, Martin Samuel knows why he did not go, or maybe
probably because there was an ex parte order.
Probably because of the ex parte order. He don't want to violate the the purported ex parte order, because the ex parte order you're talking about cannot subsume the existing the existing judgment given by Omotosho of the Federal High Court. You know, that is subsisting. So there is no, see, that's why all those things are shrouded in illegality. Because once if you are saying that Wale, that justice, I know, but no, it is also embroidered in this. Okay. Because you made mention now that maybe Amehule rescued himself because of the ex parte order. The ex parte order is a nullity in itself. And even Justice Wale knows it. Because there is already a law, you know, subsisting before he made that proclamation. So it cannot stand the test of judicial time and terms. So if you're talking about Okojombo emerged as what? Who is Okojombo in this scheme of things happening within the House of Assembly in Rivers State?
Is he legislating?
They're just buying time.
But they are sitting and they are legislating.
No, legislating about what? You cannot put not something on nothing, and it will stand.
Is the governor not acting on?
You see, when we get to the bridge, we cross it. They know that all those things are in nullity. All those things that are happening is in nullity, and that is why we have seen a group of lawyers in Rivers State have written to the NJC saying why will the commissioner, the so-called commissioner for the so screened, I don't know whether he has been sworn in, the so-screened Commissioner for Justice and Attorney General of Rivers State, present himself to an illegal house to be screened. A son, for that matter, who should know more, presented himself, and they said this is a dent on the image of the judiciary. And they recall that since after the judgment of 2023 general elections across board, especially as exemplified in the presidential tribunal cumulating into the Supreme Court, you have seen that the name of the judiciary is now sounding as a broken record in the ears of an average Nigerian. So this is the time for them to, to rescue their image. And you could see the big hammer that has fallen on one of the justices of the nation, that he has been suspended. Two of them apparently have been suspended. So the judiciary is purging herself of those illegalities and those conflicting cases being turned out from the so-called Temple of Justice. When you return back to what is happening in Rivers State, you find out that the Martin Samehule led Rivers State House Assembly is legal. Like we have it on a good authority this morning. Maybe before the day breaks, it will come to the knowledge of the world that INEC has acknowledged a letter from them. We are speaking about INEC and trying to say that they are not aware of any resignation or any vacancy in the seats of the 33. They have no business because electioneering time has gone. They are a product of an act, attached to the Constitution of Nigeria to see that elections are conducted, and that is their job. They have done their job. Any other thing goes to the judiciary. The judiciary is there to interpret who is right or wrong. We have it on a good authority now that they have acknowledged a letter from Martin Samehule-led Assembly, as the Speaker of the Rivers State Assembly, declaring the seat of the deceased member vacant. That is the only seat we know that INEC has acknowledged as being vacant. He has written to them officially, and they have acknowledged it. INEC have not told us that they acknowledge the purported letter Edison here wrote to INEC, purportedly stating that the seats of 27 or 25 members of the House of Assembly have been declared vacant. They have not made it known to us. We have not received any correspondence from INEC, so to say, regarding that particular letter. We only hear it from the government side of the media.
All right.
So when you return back and say that those people are illegal, the legality stands this way, that the House sat and suspended 4 members. The House sat and suspended some members. They didn't declare their seats vacant. If Amehule has made a proclamation of declaring the seats of those four people vacant, that's the end of them. Because he is the only person as the Speaker who is authorized.
Their seats vacant if they actually.
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. So what stands now is that they stand suspended.
All right.
They stand suspended, and once you are suspended, you have lost the power and legitimacy within that time frame to represent your constituents, to join in making laws or presenting a bill in the House, or even voting at that material time. So for all we know, until that particular issue of suspension is resolved, both Edison here, who quickly resigned, both Okojombo stand as whatever they are doing is predicated upon that the illegality or otherwise of their suspension from the House.
All right. Ms. Emi, you have something to say?
Yes, I think there is something I just want to contribute. Let's even assume that the Section 109, paragraph G, is something that the Honorable Martin Amehule and his other members, are falling short of. Is it the responsibility of Rivers State government? Is it the responsibility of Edisehie, Okojombo, and the rest of them to so implement whatever decision without the court making pronouncement? What do I mean by this? Currently, a budget was purported to have been submitted and passed. We also heard about screening of some persons, as nominated to be commissioner.
By suspended section of the House.
So if we go by this, does it not mean that, or does that not state that the Okojombo, EDC here, and the River State government are actually usurping the powers of the court? Is it not what we are trying to say? Is it not what we are saying right now? Because the court is here to make pronouncement. And here, they are already implementing whatever is in their mind. It means you are usurping.
With respect to the presentation of appropriation bill to the Edisineye faction by the governor, that particular act was cancelled. It was nullified by the court.
It was nullified by the court, number one, right? So, and the state government is still telling you.
Government stands, the budget of the River State stands unpresented.
Yeah, it's a matter.
According to the nullification.
It's a matter. You see, it's a matter of dispute right now.
Okay.
That the River State budget is under dispute. And for me, as a person, as a Nigerian, if you ask me, I know River State has no appropriation bill. Governor Sifubara have not submitted appropriation bill to Rivers House of Assembly as Section 121 of the Nigerian Constitution so recommends. Until he does that, that is when I will say, yes, Rivers State has submitted an appropriation bill yet to be passed. But currently, the government is expending money not approved because there is no laid-down budget before the Honorable Martin Amefuli right now. But we are seeing money be expended. We are seeing some persons be screened. I really want to challenge the Nigerian court. If we don't start to discipline some persons, I don't think any of us is safe. Because when the crisis, shall arise, even the judiciary will not be saved. The judiciary will not be saved. Because the crisis may cut across several factors and several sectors. So I think it is time we discipline people. We try to, to curtail impunity to ensure that we are actually having a state, driven on the principle of democracy as recommended by our law. We can't have a situation where some people will assume the power of other arms of government or assume to become overlords. And we have a law and we want this thing, to thrive in our society. That is why I'm also appealing to the federal government that in case the law that is passed, the River State amended law, is now a law, an operating law, extending the tenure of local government chairmen in case the governor fails to conduct an election in line with Section 7 of the 1993 Constitution. It states that law remains operational. In case the governor decides to disdainfully disregard the same law and disregard Section 7 of the 1993 Constitution, I'm advocating and appealing to federal government that whatever that needed to be done, number one, is to withhold the funds of any local government that is run by caretakers. Just like the governor of Rivers State have withheld some funds meant for some local government in Rivers State because there is a joint account. In the name of the local government chairman are failing to comply with certain rules or directives as according to their own words. So the government of Nigeria has sworn and has sworn to by the president that it will protect, defend the Constitution of Federal Republic. And this is the time, to see that thing come into play, that you will defend the Constitution and not by political vote, chopping for political votes or for any interest, but stand with the law and let us see how we can curtail some of this impunity where we are now building emperors in the name of governors, and this will never help the Nigeria states.
All right.
Choma, the wrong precedents are being set in Nigeria. Because we also have litany of people defecting. There is a lot of illegality. There's a lot of political nonchalance, constitutional nonchalancy in Nigeria. And that is why in Rivers State, you could see a governor or somebody who is sitting somewhere that we don't know, who was not even elected by members of the House, by 2/3 majority of the House, sitting somewhere and making pronouncements by fiat. in a state that is being governed by Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Rivers State cannot exist in isolation. In isolation, I mean in running contrary of what the Constitution stipulates. Because if you allow that to fester, you know, they said when an evil is allowed to fester for a long time, it becomes a norm, and the norm is really, you know, not healthy for the development and for the progress of Rivers State. It is a pity. It is a pity that the governor could be making some statements by fiat, and the Okojumbo and Edison, you know, faction. Of course, as far as I know, there are no factions does not exist in the Rivers State House of Assembly, because they were according to the rules of the House, 4 members were suspended.
Okay.
So when you go by it, you find out that this, you know, proclamation by fiat, you know, overriding the constitutional provisions. Because all these things, I continue to say it, you saw what came up, Choma, after the elections in Nigeria, especially in regards to the presidential elections. People were saying 25% this, 25% FCT, this and that. We waited. We went through the courts, and it's gotten to the Supreme Court. So most of those interpretations of what we are seeing now, we end up in the Supreme Court for we to get the clarity and where the position of the Constitution lies. Because this section 109G has been overflogged. Okay. But people are not looking at the roots of that particular problem, what elicited the problem, and what was the position of these 4 members hitherto to all this crisis coming up.